Good morning and welcome to Not Everyone Gets a Trophy with Amy and Mo.
Well, good morning. It's 5 a.m. and welcome to our show. We are live today on Not Everyone Gets a Trophy with hashtag Princess Amy and Mo.
Mo problems.
That's how it started.
That's how it started.
Today we have our producer with us, and we are so excited to tell you guys how we all came together and what we've been working on and how this all works and stuff like that.
It's been quite the journey, right? And this is different because we're going live in terms of video, which it's different.
Yes, we're not streaming, but we are recording right now.
Yeah, and I think we are doing this to get a feel for who we are as people, as human beings, not just over sound. And then also bringing Chris. I think we had set up this goal of doing at least 14 podcasts. Chris had originally told us that the normal podcast lasts about 8. And then after that, just kind of...
Yeah.
Right?
Some people don't get past 1, but the average is 7 to 8 podcasts, where most people just fade out. They don't realize how much work it's going to be, how much self-promotion they have to do. And not everyone has a producer like you guys.
Well, I don't think that we would have the show without you.
No, not at all. I mean, it's so nice to be able to come in, talk,
Wrap some shit
and go
home.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
then Chris takes over, and that's where all the magic happens. Yeah. I mean, we come full of like lots of energy, and we have great people on the show, but we have no idea how all this works.
And you're left with a cleanup, and not even that. Like Chris has been very nice to us. You pick up things that we normally should do in theory, like coming up with sometimes the titles of our podcast, and sometimes we overbooked, sometimes we cancel. You've been very graceful to not come down on us very hard.
Yeah, because we talk about all the time, like life happens, and oh boy, it does. And we feel very grateful that you've been able to pardon us along the way.
No problem. Yeah, I mean, it's, there's a fine line between, people that, are your friends and then also running a business as well. You don't want to piss off your friends, but you also have like a business to run at the same time. So kind of mixing those, can suck, but as long as everyone's respectful and, we kind of keep open communications, kind of when people stop talking, that's when shit gets kind of sketchy,
Right. So that's
miscommunication, unsettled business. And I think, I think we were off for about 2 weeks, week and a half or so, and life happens. Not sure what else to say, but we continue to show up. And when we started this, I'll give Amy some credit on this one. It was her idea, even though I already had thought about it. But yes, it was your idea. All right. And a lot of it surfaced because we would talk so much behind the desk at work. And I think people actually would start saying to us, like, y'all need to do something with this talk. Like, do something. And it was getting frustrated because week after week we would work and we would talk about things, but we couldn't go anywhere with it.
Yeah, we just didn't know how to level up. We didn't know how to get the information that was very it was helpful out to people that weren't resistant or that I don't know, that they just didn't want the information.
Yeah, and how many times do we say things like, hey, we should do this and we should do that and we should create a business and things just don't go anywhere.
Right. And we used to talk about people like that. we would tell people like...
We were those people talking about those people. I mean, that's the reality of things. We were those people talking about those people.
So we were like, well, then why don't we do something about it? And
absolutely. That's
kind of where Chris came in. So...
Yeah. And like at work, I would tell anyone and everyone that would listen about my podcast and the podcast I have with my girlfriend, Wendy. And I think by doing that, people start asking me about the podcast and, sometimes be like, hey, I listened to this episode, listen to that one. So So the day I still remember it, I was working on journeys and you said something to me like, so tell me all about podcasting or something like that.
Well, because I had thought about it and I thought about asking you, but I worked with you, but as big as the hospital was, we never worked in the same place.
Yeah.
And as busy as we are, which is crazy busy for an entire 12 hours, there was just no way for me to take a break and talk to you.
Yeah.
So it was like a perfect opportunity for me to take advantage of asking you all those questions. And I was like, tell me about podcasting. I got a lot of shit to say.
Yeah. And then we just chatted. And like by the end of the week, you were pretty much set up and ready to go. And I think you recorded your first one. Was it that same week or the following week?
It had to have been within the first.
It was really fast.
Yeah, because I'm kind of dramatic and I'm an adrenaline junkie. So I'm like, once I make a decision, which I love making decisions, by the way, I'm like, let's do it. Let's freaking do it. Let's see what happens.
But she needed somebody else, of course. And of course, the person to do it with and who is going to make things happen was Mo, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I do not think I would be as excited or I wouldn't have continued past a few episodes. If
that was sarcasm, but thank you. Whew, thank you.
That I'm going to give you some credit for, Mo. And honestly, when I thought about doing the podcasting, because people used to tell me like, Amy, you have so much good information. Like you share so much with these kids and you're always like upbeat and optimistic. I was like, oh, okay, but I don't know if I could do it by myself. But I had considered somebody else. And it didn't work out for one reason or another.
I was plan B.
You were plan B. But
hey, plan B sometimes comes to the rescue.
But it's a success story. I truly had sat down and thought about it and not being impulsive with my decision making as I normally am. I thought about it and I considered all the conversations that we've had at work, outside of work, in passing, like all the energy that put it together. I was like, you know what, I really should consider doing this podcast with Mo. And here we are.
Yeah. 14. What number episode is this? 14?
This will be our 14th.
14, yeah. So, yeah, 14 episodes in. So, I guess I have a question for you two. Like, what is the main thing that you've learned about podcasting since you started?
How to deal with this one right here. How to keep her on track. Holy moly. Yeah. I mean, I think we've done a good job about dividing things in terms of kind of you do this and I do this.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned is our relationship at work always gets confused. They always think like either we're dating or they're, and one of the biggest things about this is that we have grown to show others through our actions that our relationship has grown to be like this pure friendship that is it's just that, like it doesn't go past that.
And you can have healthy working relationships.
Absolutely.
With like the opposite sex. And it's not weird. And we're very professional. We're just a good, it's just a good mix.
Yeah. And we've been through a lot in terms of, it's been sometimes I drop the ball, sometimes you drop the ball. But I feel like this is why it works because there is no filter in terms of, yo, you messed up, pick it up, let's go. And it's like this like reset, go. There isn't this awkward, hey, sorry about yesterday. No, it's just like it's a new day. Let's do better than we did before.
I think we just have the same goal in mind that I think we both have the same passion, and maybe I'm getting it wrong, but that's my opinion, is that we just have this same passion. So to answer your question about what have I learned about podcasting, is it's not all I thought it was going to be. It's a lot harder. So we get to come in here and talk about our things, but there's so much that goes on behind that I didn't really think about.
Yeah.
But for some way or another, it just always comes together. Like it's hard to find somebody to come in during a week.
It is.
You know, to find a guest, to coordinate a schedule, to get them motivated, to find some good resources, but they're kind of intimidated to come into the studio. So
to buy into something that we also believe in.
Yeah.
Right.
the idea of it.
Well, not everyone thinks what they're saying has like enough value to be recorded and put
Right.
out there to the world, but
So,
someone doesn't know what you're talking about out there.
Yeah.
Right. So what I learned was I also learned that we have some really valuable people in our community.
Mhm.
And I have learned that we've been able to put that out into the world. And it's such an amazing journey. There's just a lot of the behind the scenes that
Mhm.
I didn't really think about. And I truly don't think that I even know all of it. But that's kind of why you're like our biggest resource and we're like your biggest fans, because without you as producing our show,
we'd be done.
yeah, we wouldn't have got 5 episodes.
Yeah.
I
Not
truly believe
even,
that.
I mean, after 3, I believe we would have. After 3 is when we were out of town. Like it was like I think my daughter was having the heart surgery.
I remember
Amy
that.
was also having surgery. Life was happening. We wouldn't have been able to record, find people, energy, and edit these things.
Yeah.
Which is I did this website thing. And if there was one thing that actually kept me going in terms of when I was my daughter in San Francisco was the podcast, because I was able to, you know, when my daughter was sleeping, I was working on the website. So it became something very meaningful to me. Something I didn't know where I was going to go. I still don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
I really don't. If I were to ask you a question, is what I learned is that it became less about us throughout this journey.
Yeah.
The more we go into it, the less it becomes about us. I think initially, because we don't know what we don't know, it was like, yes, it's
Like,
Amy.
we have so much to say. We have so much to say.
Yeah, like, it's about us, about us,
Yeah.
about us. And the more we went is, whoa, it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's way ahead of
bigger,
us, and we don't even know where it's going. But
Well, I think it was kind of like I had sort of an attitude about the work I was doing and the resistance and how like disgusting and ugly it was, where I was like, well, these entitled people, they need to hear what I have to
your title is kind of like based on like an entitled person, you know, too.
Right.
So yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. So my initial attitude was,
I'm gonna
people,
tell you.
I'm going to tell you.
yeah,
I'm going to tell
yeah.
you.
Like, watch this. I'm going to talk about you.
Yeah, I'm about to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because you like, you know, so that was like the attitude at first.
So you were just going to school people all day long.
Yeah.
It's like
watch
you
this.
and you. This is what's wrong with all of you.
this all comes to back like my control issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I need to get everybody back on track. Like I know what I'm doing. And the truth is I don't always know what I'm doing.
It's incredible. It's actually very complicated initially to the motivation, the hype of what you can be. This is new to us, right? It creates dopamine and all these chemicals. That's what keeps you initially going.
Yeah.
I can see why people don't make it to the 8th, because it's so time consuming.
Yeah. Well, you don't get immediate feedback a lot of times too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, that's why we set the bar low.
Yeah,
Remember?
exactly.
Do you remember what we said?
We did.
If we get one follower.
One follower.
If we get one follower.
You got much more than that already. So
I
Thank
know.
you.
Yes.
Chris, we were just looking at the stats of our listeners, and I still don't understand all that, but the feedback has been what you say is good.
Oh, yeah, it's doing really well. And just to touch on like what you were saying, I found in podcasting when we first started that, you know, you think you're going to make this podcast, you're going to put it out there, and millions of people are going to listen to it.
And now you're on NBC.
Yeah, you think you're...
I have a daytime show.
And when I started too, we didn't know what went into it. You know, we bought some recording equipment. We listened to a lot of podcasts, and we didn't know what went into it. And it wasn't until we started treating it like it was a second job and putting like hours and hours into it every week. And 2, networking with people. We did not really see growth until we started just talking to people on Instagram, on Facebook, just getting engaged with all these people. Also, kind of giving yourself away. So, you know, don't come into it with this like, okay, if someone wants me to come to this location, podcast with them, you know, I'm you would think like, oh, okay, they need to, owe me something for this, some kind of compensation, or you're doing it for a venue. That kind of stuff at the beginning, you've just got to give it away.
Right.
Give away your time, give away your skills. And then what we found is that it just comes right back to you. So and oftentimes it's, tenfold or whatever, like the generosity that comes back to you. And just to give an example, the Lounge at the End of the Universe, that's something where we went in with this philosophy. We're just going to give. And, they wanted us to come down for the Idaho Comedy Fest and interview all these comedians.
Oh,
we
told
did.
me about that.
Yeah. So over the course of a couple of days, we did 10 or 11 interviews, and all for free. Our time was free. But from doing that, we started a relationship with us. They have now named us their official podcast. And
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so it's
amazing.
awesome. And I don't have to look for guests anymore. They just feed me all the performers that are coming in there, which is amazing. I just have to contact them and set up a time usually. And we're either going to do it in person on location down there, or we're going to do it over Zoom and promote their show that they have coming up as well with it. So
That's amazing.
So network, like, don't be afraid to give your skills away. Talk to people and don't think you're the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, a lot of, I think the first 2 episodes, a lot of people kept coming up to us. Hey, I've always wanted to do a podcast.
Yes.
The biggest thing for me was first hearing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the biggest adjustment as a person.
Yeah.
As a therapist, we talk about being able to be comfortable with yourself, liking yourself, loving yourself. The biggest thing for me was listening to myself.
Yeah.
And kind of forcing myself to listen to the episodes. It took me 1 or 2, 3 weeks to actually stop hearing my voice and listening to content.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And listening to what you're
I was
saying.
so hyper focused on my voice.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. The more you're in it, the more it stops becoming about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it switches to more of the impact that you can make on others.
Yeah.
To those who are listening to us who also said, I want to do a podcast, I don't think there's a right time to do it.
Contact me.
Yes.
Right there. He makes
How do they
this very
contact
easy.
you? You have to tell them.
You can text me. Actually, don't text me. Email me.
Don't do that. Do none of that.
After you're a client, then I'll give you my phone number. Email me at gettoasted@toastedmarshmallowadventures.com. You can also leave a message there if you want to leave a message to us. Also, while we're on it, I've moved the scheduling on the website. It's on its own page. So the first page will say like book your studio time or something.
Okay, great.
Actually, Wendy spent like 6 hours today totally revamping our website. I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
The booking, how we get a hold of you. And
Best way is get toasted at toastedmarshmallowadventures.com, or you can message me on social media. We're on Facebook under Toasted Marshmallow Adventures, and Instagram is Toasted Marshmallow Adventures 1. And that's just because I screwed up the name at first.
Oh, really?
I accidentally, I went to change my account over and I put in Toasted Marshmallows. There was some error, or Toasted Marshmallow Adventure, some error happened with the sign up. So then when I tried to do it again, it's like Toasted Marshmallow Adventures is taken, the name, So that's why we're Toasted Marshmallow Adventures 1 on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can contact me any of those ways. If you just want some information that I can give you, or you just want to ask how much it cost, send me a message and we'll talk. Hopefully we'll get you in and start your podcast for you.
But it'll pay, like, it's worth it. It will pay you back in ways you never imagined. Like,
yeah. And we're not talking about money. We're talking about just, I don't know how many times I've walked into work or with patients or in just hearing, I heard your podcast. Mm-hmm. That pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Initially, it was very uncomfortable.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, I heard your podcast.
I still
tell me about it.
Yeah.
And it's. I remember walking in one day at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was at work, and they were listening to our podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it was like episode 2 or 3, and I was like, "Shut it down,
turn it
off. I don't want to hear myself."
No.
Because it's an adjustment, but it's growth.
Yeah.
That we're now at 14. And how I'm like, this is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about the followers, it's not about the views. It's about, even if it's that one view and that view creates a huge impact, it might be 10 years from now when someone says, look, these guys are not even doing podcasts no more, but check it out. This is one of the ones they did.
We probably will do a podcast.
Well, that was just an example. But yeah, you know, so this has been a crazy adventure. Kind of like,
we love the studio. We love the vibe. I love the cat hat.
And this studio is awesome. Like,
I
don't know.
Thank you.
I know. I kind of want to like hear more about how you all got this all developed. Like, because when did you start podcasting? Why did you decide to build a studio? And
so we started in March of 2019. That's when we finally recorded our first episode, and I can have you guys listen to it sometime. It's like 6.5 minutes long.
That's it?
There's no editing to it at all. Oh yeah, it's bad, but it was our first episode, and we just wanted to get it out. And that's the thing too. A lot of people are so worried about how's this going to sound, how that's going to sound. Podcasting is kind of a DIY type of like art form or creative outlet. Just put it out. I mean, I've heard some podcasts that sound horrible. They'll have like buzzing all the way through. But you know, like this specific one I'm talking about is a true crime podcast, and people are just junkies for true crime.
It's hot right now.
And this guy's podcast is doing really well. And the recording of it is so bad. Like I would be embarrassed to put it out, but I guess if people like the content, they don't care as much.
Yeah, they want to hear it.
Yeah, so. But I'm going to make your guys' sound as best I can every single time.
It always does.
Very manly.
I've listened to a few of our podcasts over and over. Like I do have my favorites. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah.
But okay, so you started in 2019.
Yeah, so that happened. So 2019, I think we got to episode 6. It was less than 10. And then I went into the hospital. And after we just started, and we had a pretty good momentum going when we first started. I mean, all of our friends were listening, you know, and they were telling people about it. And there were some threads on Facebook where people were talking about it. So we had a good start just with the people we knew. Well, then I went into the hospital and I was there for a week where I ended up with diverticulitis, and then my colon burst on me.
I remember that.
I was like, I remember you came back, and I was like,
because you lost like
I didn't recognize you actually.
You lost so much weight that I was like,
I did. I've gained it all back since then. Thank you.
We weren't gonna say that.
Baseline,
I'll just tell you,
baseline is good, right?
Yes.
But I remember seeing, I was like, who's the new guy? And they're like,
yeah. Well, and I came back with a beard too. I didn't have a beard prior. So
it was strange.
So yeah, so you saw me months later after that, because I still wasn't back at work. So I was off for a week. My diverticulitis turned complicated. Or I was in the hospital for a week.
Someone did say you died.
I came close. I almost died the second time I went in. And there's actually going to be a 1-hour podcast about this coming out within the next couple months or so.
On yours?
On
just Toasted Marshmallows?
On Toasted Marshmallow Adventures. Also, you can find it on all major platforms and YouTube. So I went in the hospital. I ended up coming out of the hospital with an ostomy bag, which sucked. I mean, is
that the thing that you have to carry outside?
Yeah,
yes.
And that's where your shit goes into it. Yes.
Hey, my cousin had to wear one of those. I almost killed my cousin. He told me he was feeling sick one day, and I'm like, I gotta go eat dinner. You wait. And literally, like, something ruptured. And he had to wear one of those baggies. Mm-hmm. And it is...
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Was it permanent or temporary?
It was just temporary.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had mine for 10 months. So anyways, what happened, I was in the hospital for a week that time. I got out, and I believe it is actually episode 8 where we initially talked about what had happened to me. And I was out of the hospital for 2.5 weeks. And I started getting like abdominal pain again. So I went in. They didn't know what was wrong with me right at the beginning. They admitted me anyway just for pain management because they knew what I just went through. There, they had all my records.
You had to be
and everything.
admitted for pain management?
Pain management at the time. I was in a lot of pain.
Preventative medical model.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking like admission for pain. That's pretty.
Yeah. I got admitted for pain management at that time. Yeah. So, and I have a feeling what I had just gone through played into it as well. So I got admitted, and I was there for about a week, and they were just kind of managing my pain. They weren't really finding anything new that was wrong with me until the day they were going to discharge me. And they looked at my original incision, and there was actually feces coming through it. And so my first initial ostomy site somehow had failed, and I was just leaking shit inside of me. Can we say shit on your podcast? Okay.
Hell yeah.
They say it on mine.
We just did.
So yeah, they said, you're not going home, you're going to surgery. And I remember the last thing I said to them, I asked, am I going to die? They said, no, I very well could have died if they hadn't.
Yeah, you could have been septic. You could have.
Yeah.
You could have died.
Yeah. Gosh, my cousin went exactly to the same thing.
Literally,
like
wow.
his intestine like ruptured, and he wasn't in pain. And the worst part is that I took him to the hospital, and it was in San Diego. There's a hospital just for delivery.
Yeah,
and I took him there, and they're like, wrong hospital. Take him next door. So like he literally, if I would have waited 1 more hour, he would have died. So I saw what he went through. He also lost a lot of weight, which is crazy.
I wonder what made him think to look over you one more time.
Oh, historically, that's what they do.
Yeah,
because I thought they were discharging you.
They were getting ready to discharge me. And another tidbit to the story is a couple days prior to them discovering that my incision had feces coming through it, my hospital room had an odor to it that smelled like feces in it. And I just thought that I didn't know how to do my ostomy bag at the time.
Right.
I thought it wasn't on right, so it was, making contact with air, and you were smelling it. But no, I actually now know that you were actually smelling shit coming out of my body, through like the incision stuff you were getting.
So it's like meth. It was literally coming out of you.
It was, yeah. So yeah, that happened. I woke up a week later. My ostomy moved from this side to the other side. And I had a stoma over here, an ileostomy. Then I had the other stoma that was just like sectioned off, and it just produced mucus.
Right.
So mucus fistula. So I had to take care of 2 stomas for like 10 months.
Oh my goodness.
It blew. So anyways, getting back to podcasting.
Wow.
So yeah, after that happened, we kind of lost all our initial momentum. It was kind of just starting from the beginning again. And, we just got back on it. We started recording and just pumping out episodes. I remember my first interview episode back, actually was with a local comedian. I still had like drains on me, like 2 huge drains on the side when this person came over. That was before we did video. But yeah, I was frail and weak when I got out. But anyways, we kept on podcasting. We started doing more interviews. That's when we started getting into starting to interview comedians. I just found a local comedian page on Facebook and joined it and put a message out looking for comedians to podcast with, because that's how we got our start, is listening and watching comedians podcasts, because I've always been a huge fan of stand-up comedy. And then I got Wendy into those type of podcasts, and I was like, we should do this. And typically when you do see a podcast that interviews comedians, it's another comedian running the podcast. So I guess ours is different in that concept that
So you're saying you're like not funny?
No, we're funny as hell. Yeah,
like Finding Nemo.
No. I'm just not a good writer.
Tell me a joke.
To be a good comedian, you have to be actually. I haven't seen Finding Nemo in years.
You're a clownfish. Tell me a joke.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that name.
Well, now there's Finding Dory.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one. So anyways, to be a good comedian, you have to be a good writer, and I suck as a writer, and so that's probably why. But a lot of times the comedians that we do interview think that we are comedians. We just keep it light and fun, and a lot of times they're shocked when they find out we're not comedians. So then we started interviewing comedians at that point. And then we were still doing some of the other interviews just with like our friends and stuff. Like we had people from work like Madison and Ian.
I actually watched Madison's, and that's when I kind of got clued into that you were podcast. So I didn't actually know that you were producing the podcast yourself.
Yeah.
Actually, nothing about podcasting. And I listened to Madison, and you and Wendy were sitting in the room. I'm like, wait, so this is their podcast. Yeah. And it was in your studio. And I listened to her story, and I was like, well, I want to go. Like, I want to be part of that. And I don't know how to do it, but that's kind of where I learned about what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of all trickled
down. And to be a little bit about Chris, Chris is the kind of type of person who doesn't make a noise at work. He is. If there's a code, if there's something happening, Chris is the guy who's there, but it's not there in some way. So looking at what you've accomplished, it to me is surprising, because sometimes the biggest thing in life can be right in front of you, and you just don't see it. Yeah. Like you probably told me about the podcast, and because life was happening to me, I didn't.
It's amazing how many people don't hear you.
I blocked it, which is crazy, because now I'm on the other side of that.
You were ignoring him, rude.
But we do it in a subconscious, like we don't mean to be rude, but if someone came to sell right now, some shoes, I'm like, no, I don't need that, right? And if those shoes become like a hit, then I'm interested, because now it's important to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of talks about being present in the moment, because you were there all along. All along you were there. And for some reason, like, but to me, that's life.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that somehow we were able to connect, because you're a genius. You make this sound crisp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even shower today, and I'm like, I can sit in the studio and
Amy and her showering.
Jeez.
She can be late 10-15 minutes every time because she is showering.
I was on time today, and by the way, I had things to do.
You always do.
We all have stuff to do every damn day.
I'll get a shower.
So anyways, the studio actually used to be in the living room.
Oh, wow.
And we just had the corner of it kind of set up. We didn't have this mural or anything. We had some of these photos and stuff out there. But it was out there, and because my daughter had this room at the time, and once she moved out, I started talking to Wendy. I was like, let's make that the studio, and let's get it out of the living room, because she never liked it that much in the living room, like the first thing people see when they walk in and stuff. So it wasn't going to be too hard of a sale to move it in here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so we started moving it in here. One of our friends told us about Limitless Walls, where we got that mural and this one over here. So we purchased those. They had a big sale, so they were like 40% off. So we got those. We just got shelves. I got the TV for like $60 off of Craigslist.
Woo-hoo.
Craigslist.
Where'd you get the cat hat? Because this is like an obsession.
I think that's actually I think that's from like Walmart.
Really?
Yeah. Put it on. I was doing the rest of it right there with the cat head on.
I think you should do podcasts.
Can you hear me like this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we should. Isn't that like NBC where they sing they have like a mask on?
Oh, the mask singers.
Oh, the mask singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, can you
we
sing?
should do something like that.
The mask podcaster.
Cat.
Gee.
Cat.
Yeah. Maybe first you have your guest wear it and see if people can figure out who it is.
Oh my gosh.
We should do something like that. Guest speaker.
Sheesh.
That rhymes.
I do have an obsession with the cat hat. That's pretty dope. Okay, so 2019.
So we moved the studio in here once my daughter moved out. We just started decorating the crap out of it. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my gosh. You're gonna ruin it. Give me the hat.
Oh, God.
What's wrong?
You're disrupting.
I didn't do anything.
Okay.
So, what was I saying? Okay, so we started making the studio, set everything up in here. And then, so I'll just give you a hard truth about podcasting. It's very difficult to make money as far as like plays and downloads from podcasting, unless you're like a Joe Rogan, someone who's already famous.
Amy's obsessed with him.
Okay, so like, listen, I purposefully did not listen to podcasts because I've never listened to podcasts.
Yeah.
But because when we did ours, I didn't want to have like some sort of weird expectation of myself to do this like crazy non-realistic part of myself. Yeah. So I purposely did not listen to podcasting when we first started.
We were able to tell.
Oh, you could?
Yeah.
Great. So I purposely didn't do that, except after a couple of shows on that first like 4 episodes, I listened to Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. And I actually really like his podcasting. Yeah. I like what he brings to the table. Mm. I like that he gets to be live and he's explicitly live. He's the only one who gets that, which I would love to be able to do that. But yeah, so that's my history with podcasting.
So our dreams should be to have Joe Rogan join us.
Why can't I just have a show like Joe Rogan's? Why can't I be like?
You could do that too. I mean, having Rogan on your show would be awesome.
No, we didn't do this to make money initially, anyhow.
Yeah,
but yeah, I can see that. Give that to me.
Okay, put it there. Okay.
This is an episode you have to watch instead of listen to.
See, I wanted to give people like the raw, like this is how we are at work.
Exactly.
No, this is real.
Right?
This is real. This is really.
Amy thinking she's in control.
I am in control. Why
Sometimes you just gotta let control go.
Exactly.
So. I am in control.
So where do we go from here?
All right, so let's so we made the room start turning out awesome. And then so anyways, getting back to making money in podcasting, I started realizing how difficult it was, and I started thinking about how else can I make money from this, because I was getting burnt out at my job as a psych tech. We're at Intermountain Hospital. And so I really wanted to find a way that was going to allow me to work for myself, or even work for someone else in like a more creative way. And so that's when I was like, well, I know how to edit and produce and publish, and
I know how to do all the dirty work that people don't want to do.
Exactly. And so
when I approached you, had you already been thinking about this stuff?
I had been thinking about it, and I started putting my name out there a little bit, like on Facebook and stuff. And then once you said that to me, I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's what I want to do. So
that's life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's listening to life.
And we can talk about manifesting shit too.
Yeah.
Getting back what you put out there. And so I just put it out there that I'm an editor, I'm a producer, even though I hadn't officially done it at that point. I had done it for 80 episodes of my own podcast, for 10 episodes of an Alzheimer's podcast. We had another short podcast for a while too. So I had done it enough where I felt I had the skills to actually be of value to other podcasters. And so I figured that out, started talking to people. You approached me about it, and you guys were my first clients, which is awesome. So thank you. And then since then, I've picked up some more, and
that's great.
Quit my job.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard a lot of people, thank you, I quit my job. I'm like,
I don't know if I want to be responsible for that. But I kind of want to be responsible for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, we had Lauren in here, like a couple months ago. And one of the things that she did say was, I've never met a person who quits their job in good faith and has been not successful at it.
Right. Yeah, and I remember hearing that too, and I was like, "Oh, it's right up my alley, and what I need to hear right now." Yeah. And it wasn't long after that I quit my job.
Yeah,
so,
it wasn't. I mean, I don't know if I had just quit or I was about to quit.
Oh, the other job that you had.
The other job that I had.
Gosh, that was a nightmare.
It was. It
actually affected your mood in the studio, so I couldn't wait for you to quit that job. I couldn't. Like, it was like an obsession of yours. Like, that's all you thought about.
And it's not that it was a bad job. It wasn't a right fit. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, and I also sucked at it. And there's no shame in saying that, because it just wasn't
for you. Yeah.
Right. And people kept asking me, why'd you quit? And I'm like, I kept giving the proper answer. It just wasn't a good fit. And then I'm like, you know what? I sucked at it because it wasn't the right fit. But I was trying to put this I was trying to cover up this thing that shouldn't have been covered up.
Yeah.
By me sucking at it, opened the door for somebody to fulfill that job the way it should have.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to go back to school. Right. And to me, that was just part of listening to life. It's why this podcast also became a huge thing, because I wasn't static. I was I'm constantly moving. And that's something that Amy always talk about is this idea that you're always going to be able to perform 110% as long as you're not like stuck in a position where you don't want to be at.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. I mean, I believe that too. And I feel like I never rest these days, honestly, at night, but I believe things that don't move eventually die. You know?
You got to keep moving.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to power through some of those really rough spots. But there's just like, if you just get over that, like it's beautiful. Like it just, you flourish. Like you look back and you're like, God, I'm so glad I kept moving. I know. Sorry.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's not easy.
So like when you were quitting your job, like were you ready? Like what was there fear? Was there like excitement?
Total excitement, a tiny bit of fear, but I knew where my income was coming from once I quit. I had my health insurance lined up already. So I didn't do it haphazardly. I was initially going to wait till November 30th. But things just fell in line. I picked up some more clients and got my health insurance figured out sooner than I thought I was going to. And I was like, I think I'm going to put my 2-week notice in by the end of this week, which was maybe first week of October is when I decided.
Dang.
My last day was October 25th.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. I know. I was excited, but also like not excited because you're such a resource. For the position. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're losing such a valuable asset. And it's not even my company. It's just more, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I was like, hell yeah, go Chris.
Yeah.
Like do something, do something you actually want to do. Like, I want everyone to do that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been loving life since I quit my job. I mean, I do what I love every day and I can do it all day long if I want to, obviously there's still other obligations and things with family and things like that, but
are you excited that you did it before you had your party, your 100th episode?
I was excited because honestly, it was like, okay. And I was looking at how it looked to my former coworkers. I mean, I thought it looked awesome that I quit. And then, less than a month later, we're having this big party at a venue and it's live and we're, putting on entertainment for people. And so I thought that was a really cool thing to happen like right after I quit my job because honestly, it was badass. It was a cool experience. And I feel like other people were like, okay, he's actually doing something, he didn't actually quit his job and then go become a greeter at Walmart or something like that. So
what was the deciding factor? Because I know what it was for me when I said I'm done working at that one job. I knew exactly what I had to do, right? And maybe I heard a little bit about it in terms of insurance and making sure things were lined up. To me, is I am not quitting unless I register for school. Like that was like my one thing. Because if I don't do that, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And then once I did it, then everything just flowed.
Yeah.
Was there one moment that you were like, okay, this is it? Like
there wasn't one specific moment. I think it was just a progression over time. I was getting burnt out at what I was doing. Still showing up every day, but it was there was almost like an anxiety every day about showing up to work, and the clientele has changed a lot recently too. It's gotten more violent.
Hearing what you're saying,
and you're getting pissed at me because I can't grab you a yogurt this second. It's like, so that was wearing on me more than it ever had before, and I knew that something was coming to a head, and I had been wanting to leave for a while, and. Like I said, the clientele had gotten more violent. It was kind of like, am I going to be on ICU today? Am I going to have to worry about being assaulted by a patient?
Yeah.
I don't like going through 12 hours of my day thinking that,
And I think
where you have to watch your back.
I mean, that's
Exactly,
12 hours
yeah.
is a long time.
Yeah.
I work 10-hour days.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, I'm like, 2 more hours. I think the last 2 hours are probably the worst, and because you're just historically you work 80 hours, 8, and then you push to 10, 12.
Yeah.
Like that's a big shift.
Yeah.
I'm like 8 hours. I mean, 8 hours. That's a hot 8. Like 4 is like a princess shift.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
But for nurses, we're like 12. That's like basic.
Yeah.
See, 12, I mean, I felt they were long shifts, but I was also kind of stuck in that as well because I liked my long weekend every week. So
Right.
it was 4 days off. And that's a reason why, like, I never applied for any other positions at Intermountain. I loved because I could go on a like little trip every weekend if I wanted to. And we travel a lot. So, you know,
there's pros and cons to working in healthcare for, you kind of can pick your schedule and you can have that 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
The con is like for 12 hours, you're going to watch your back.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just have, you have to like.
So yeah, decide. I was where, and then, one of our, core male psych techs on ICU quit. And then, I started getting put over there more, and so did Nathan. And I didn't want that to be my home. And I started telling, I was pretty vocal because I knew once Joe left, I was like, it's me or Nate.
Damn it, Joe. Come
yeah.
back.
It's me or Nate. And they started putting me over there. And I told him at one point that, I was like, I don't like this unit. I don't want to be your person on this unit. And I said, since I've been being put over here more, that I've been looking for another job. Within like 5 minutes, Nathan was over on ICU and they were moving me off the unit.
Yeah.
And
well, you're valuable. You are a huge asset. I think you'd just be a huge asset wherever you go. You're just a kind, good employee. Like you just work, you do the job, you're competent, like you're willing. Those are all the things that ran through my mind when you're like, I'm out. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
People like you are hard to come by.
Thank you.
But to me, that's when life gets that way. It's not so much about what's happening, but about listening to where you should go.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a person in that situation could have said, you know what, I do enjoy my 3-day weekend. My 4-day weekend, I'll suck it up.
Yeah.
But if you suck it up, don't show up to work and treat people like crap.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where I get livid because I'm like, look, you have a choice. You don't have to work here. You choose to work here. And to say that you don't is a cop-out.
Yeah.
Now, if life is pushing you out of here, ICU is just the tip. Like, it's just a little bit. Next, you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
And then third, like someone's going to come and take your job or you might get fired.
Yeah.
Like why wait for life to do that to you to get out?
Yeah, exactly. And so, and I think it just kind of all funneled me in this direction, and I was, like you said, and I was putting it out there and it was, just starting to come back and manifest itself. And it was just the right time to do it when I did it. And, I haven't looked back ever since. I don't miss the place. Some of my coworkers I miss seeing. And at work, you mentioned me, like, I'm kind of quiet. And that's how I was there. Like, if I didn't know you, I didn't say a whole lot to you. It's not that I was rude or thought that I was above you, and just kind of a little socially awkward at times. And, kind of before I say.
Which is the complete opposite of Amy and I, because someone walks in, hey!
Yeah.
Yo, what's up?
See, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm passing by this person. Should I say hi? Should I not say hi? We said hi to each other like 2 hours ago, and I say hi again, like we're passing them again. So, and like, so I might just like look away or something. Or just, like, hey.
And then you walk 2 hours later and Amy are still going at it like, no, yes,
I'm like a ball of energy.
We both are.
Yeah.
Like some people, like I walk into the unit and you're like, oh, like the energy, right? And sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. But I think between both of us, we're like, Mo, go take your pill. You forgot to take your pill. Oh, right? Like we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
But we love what we do because we're going somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, a lot of people are shocked sometimes when I tell them I'm an introvert and this is what I do. And honestly, I'm not a big talker. This is when I talk the most is when I'm doing a podcast, honestly, or if it's just me and Wendy chatting in the room at nighttime. So to do this for me and also for her, because she's an introvert, was really getting outside of our comfort zone. So yeah, I talk more than I've ever talked before now.
So three advices for us, because we're at 14th. You're at over 1,000.
No, 100.
No, 100.
100. Oh, my bad.
I wish we were at 1,000.
3 pointers, three things that you can say. It's gonna get hard. It's gonna suck, or just something, some wisdom.
Yeah, I got it for you because I've actually thought about these things while I'm editing your podcasts and stuff.
Shut up.
So no.
Constructive criticism time, guys. Yeah. This is what you suck at.
I love this.
Yes. No, not where you suck. Places where you can improve.
Oh, okay. You don't have to sugarcoat it for us. Don't spare my feelings because I don't have any anywhere.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I noticed is know your guest. Do some research before they come in. I research every guest before we talk to them, honestly, because I don't want to feel like a dumbass in the interview, and I want to make sure the interview flows. I hate like awkward silences where everyone's like, okay, what's next? That kind of thing. On to the next topic. So know your your guest. One, have some questions, and it could just be a few that are just like drop-in questions. So when you do have that moment where everyone just kind of just goes, and you're moving on, have like something ready for them, just to fire off at them. It could just be a general question.
I feel like I'm good at that part.
No, you flood people with questions, which makes it the same outcome.
No, actually, I've listened. I listened to all your episodes, every single one. But no, when you interject, usually it's totally fine, and it either adds to it or it does its job of kind of moving on to the next thing. So that's the big thing. Know your guests. Number 2, if you guys have previously chatted about a topic that you're going to come in here and talk about, stick to that, because I listen, when I'm to get to where you actually do the introduction for your podcast, I have to listen to all the stuff you're saying prior to, and I've listened to a few where you two have a predetermined topic, and on the spot you're like, we're not talking about that. Totally different.
Shit away.
I have editing skills. I can take anything out.
Never mind. We're going to do something completely different.
Exactly.
This is good stuff.
No, not doing that at all. We're talking about balloons.
I am coming with a topic with like all the things I want to talk about, and I was like, we're not doing that. I'm like, why? Okay.
So and then I don't know, may take a little more collaboration prior to, but stay on your topics, know your guest. Number 3, I don't know.
Don't give up. Show up.
Yeah, show up all the time. I mean, it becomes a grind, but still it's fun. Like, I love doing episodes, even though the ones where I have to do on location, I got to pack up all my crap. I got to get down there. I got to set it up. When it's over, I got to tear it all down. It's work, but I still meet some cool people.
Yeah.
I get to talk to people from around the country and around the world. So put in the work. It'll pay off for you eventually.
And I kind of see it like a therapy session. We all hate going to counseling. If you have a good therapist, once you go, you come out, you're like, okay, that was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
I know. I kind of feel like when we come in here and we like have our guest speaker and they have all this information, I'm like,
but our weeks,
it kind of was like I was feeling it. Like I feel.
But
our
weeks
better.
get shorter. I feel like because we record.
Yeah.
And then it's from there on, it's almost like, okay, get ready for the next speaker, start reaching out.
Exactly.
Get that part going. And it's literally like, it feels like 2 days after.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, let's go.
Oh, that's my third piece of advice.
Okay, yeah.
Plan like weeks ahead.
Okay.
Like, don't just wait till the week of, like, we need a guest. Let's start asking people. Have your guest planned out for at least a few weeks. And stuff will happen, where end up they can't make it or
Right.
something, and you can just ask your next guest, can come in a week early. Let's do it 1 week earlier. And so yeah, just plan ahead more. Like right now I'm planning out like our next 4 interviews right now with these shows that are coming through the lounge at the end of the universe. And so and those are probably all going to be over Zoom. So yeah, just plan ahead.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Like, what are you up to now that you quit your job?
So most of my days consist of doing podcast stuff. I do take care of my girlfriend's mom a few days out of the week for about 5 hours a day. But the rest of the time, I'm really doing podcast stuff, making future plans for the studio, which I'm going to tell you guys about those.
Let's hear it.
Yes. So this window here is going to become a door. So, and we're going to have it set up where you actually come around the side here, and you'll come around to the back, and then you'll just enter a code. You get into the studio. See, the goal is to automate all this. Mm-hmm. So I don't even have to come in here and
deal
push
with
buttons and start. What? That's not the goal.
Like me.
The goal is
they love us. They don't like us. They love
the
us.
goal is I don't have to be here all the time when someone has an appointment to record.
Yeah.
So I can be doing my own thing. I can be doing my own podcast somewhere else. I can be on vacation, and you guys can still come in and do your episodes.
That's super dope.
Yeah. So
Good for you.
yeah. So that's a big plan. Yeah. So you could come
and that's
in.
part of the movement, right? You got to keep moving. Right?
Exactly. Always. So
Yeah,
like
what futuristically, like with the door, like do you have these ideas of like being in other places and having people in and out of your studio, and
yeah, exactly. I mean, then
will you travel and podcast and
yeah, I mean, I have a totally portable setup. We can take all gear with me. I have basically all this equipment in portable version, and so yeah, I can do a podcast anywhere I want.
Because that was my next question.
I want to go.
That was the next question, because I have a buddy who owns a brewery, an acquaintance, I would say, and I thought it would be really fun to once in a while just kind of go somewhere for exposure, right?
Yeah.
And just post up and it just kind of do our podcast at a somewhere locally.
Yeah.
Because it draws attention, right?
Yeah,
I remember
exactly,
going to Vegas or places where you go into restaurants and they're recording.
Yeah.
And that just seems cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it is a really cool
I think
thing.
it'd be pretty cool to perhaps start doing something like that, asking permission to just record. But now that you mentioned that, I'm like, yes,
so
it's
like
possible.
we could all go together to a venue and we can record.
Yeah, and we could record something.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I mean, I'd charge you a little bit more,
That's
but
part of it,
But
right?
yeah,
Even if I wear the hat, will you charge me more?
I'll give you like 3% off
There
if
we
you
go.
wear that.
Look at that.
But yeah, we could totally do that. Say if someone
so
couldn't make it here and you're like, hey, we need to go to this person's office in Boise. I have those capabilities to do that for you if you need to.
Because I also feel like if we hypothetically make connection with some in the community and we say, hey, we can bring our studio to you and you can talk about what you do, right? Yeah, and we can put our mask like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, your head's.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah. So yeah, we're mobile. We can go anywhere and record a podcast. That's all good. As far as what else is coming for the studio, so this is going to be a door. We're actually going to put a sink and toilet in this closet here, so you will have a place to go to the bathroom if I'm not here.
Oh yeah.
And then there's going to be a waiting area that we're still figuring out here. It's either going to be something enclosed on this back patio here, or we've also considered purchasing another kind of larger shed and insulating it and putting drywall inside so we can have heat in the winter and AC in the summer, and just kind of have that as like a waiting area as well. So we haven't got all that figured out, but this is definitely going to be a door. That's going to be a tiny bathroom in that closet. And it's just going to be awesome. And I can just have people come in. They can put in their code, come in.
Wow.
And
So
punch up on the
big
mixer.
things happening.
Yeah.
Again,
For Chris,
for
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
for everybody. If you have had this itch of starting a podcast, I don't see a better way or why not to start when you have Chris, right? Because I think the biggest thing is is the editing part, sounding sketch, sounding not good. I mean, that's the number one thing is if you don't have that audio, people won't listen to you because it sounds like a tape recorder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if you just have a wild, crazy idea, just try it. Just try it. Like you only have to try it once.
Yeah. And not everyone has the time to do what I do as well. And it worked out well when I was working at Intermountain too with those 4 days off. You know, I had, if I needed to take all 4 days and work on something, I knew I could. So, but yeah, contact me if you want to start a podcast.
Do it.
Yes, please
do it.
We'll get you in studio. Also, you don't even have to be in the area if you want to start a podcast. I can edit your files from afar, so you can just send those to me on Google Drive or Dropbox. I can edit them and send them back to you.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
Yeah.
At toastedmarshmallowadventures.com.
That's our website, toastedmarshmallowadventures.com.
Is there contact information on the website?
Yeah, you can contact us through the website or just get toasted at toastedmarshmallowadventures.com.
Get toasted.
Yes.
Chris, this has been an amazing journey. Episode 14 was our goal, not our dream. Our next goal probably should be, shoot for 30. Why not? Right?
Yeah, 50.
Or something. Just
I want 100.
Yeah, have yourself a 100 episode party.
I want a party.
And we have to do it. And I apologize. Amy and I were both. I was sick on my birthday, which it was so I apologize for that in front of everybody.
You missed
and
a great
Amy,
party.
was having some toothaches.
It was unbearable.
So we couldn't make it.
Terrible.
So we will definitely make that up somehow. And I appreciate all the hard work you do, making it sound good, like professionals.
Letting us come and hang out in the studio, bringing all these people in.
Yeah, I know. Well, we used to actually rent a room out on booking.com, so we've had a lot of weird people in the house already. So,
I'm not weird.
Now they're just not staying the night.
So, Chris, thank you.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
Amy, Prince Amy, more and more problems. Come join us. It's hard sometimes to say reach out to us. I'm trying to reach out to the people, but I can't get to everybody. We can't get to everybody. We want to hear your story. If your story has an aha moment, if you want to create an impact, I hear so many people, I just want to help.
Find
Let's
us.
do it.
How can people contact you guys?
Yes, so you can
have
find
never
us.
said that on your
Not
podcast.
we need to start saying
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Find us here.
Contact us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everyone gets a trophy.com is our website.
Right. We are still working on our Instagram. We are going to get that up soon. But the best way to contact us is at noteveryonegetsaTrophy.com. You can find us on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple.
All of them. I don't know what they are.
Google it.
If you get placed on a hold, you might see us.
Oh, wait a minute. One more piece of
Ding,
advice.
ding, ding.
We're talking about where you're available. Get your RSS feed and distribute it to more platforms. I can show you real quick how to do that. It's super easy.
Okay.
We're on like 30 or 35 different platforms, and it will help your numbers.
Okay.
And it'll get you out to. Some of them are more prominent in other countries and stuff like that. So you get people around the world listen to you. All right, we getting out of here.
We're out of here.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank you for
listening in.
joining
We'll see you
us.
next week.
Adios.
Adios.